All right, guys. Well, it's finally getting housing. This is something the community has wanted for a very long time. The last time we took a look at it in the Wowhead, it looked fantastic. So they're dropping more news about it. I think Bellylar and a couple other content creators got to cover it. So we'll check out. Did I call him Bellylar? Preach. I always get them confused. Anyways, Preach Gaming has covered it. So let's check him out. The Preach is gonna hate me, guys. I love Preach, by the way.
The message was clear at my event with Blizzard this weekend. Housing is here to stay. They have been working on this for a really long time, and it is way, way better than you think it's going to be.
Yeah,
Let's get
it looks great.
I'm going to quick fire a ton of stuff at you because I got to see a hell of a lot, but I want to preface this very quickly, so indulge me for 1 minute. This thing that I went to with Blizzard is not the usual thing we get to do. This was not a marketing thing. We weren't allowed to record. We did do some interviews, but a lot of it can't be used because the devs were very open about where the future and stuff is going, and we can't share that information, so we will have our interview on our other channel as much as we could possibly show you. This whole purpose was that PAX was going on in Boston. They were having the WoW 30th anniversary event, and
Dude, I was supposed to go to this fight, didn't it? I hope they don't hate me.
they just asked, can some of you hang out for an extra day in order to come and check this? You just happen to be in town, so please come and check out this thing. That was the whole purpose of it. It was off the books in terms of like being a big media event. It was nothing to do with that. And it was dedicated to genuine proper feedback. In fact, only a couple of the people who went to this thing are pure dedicated WoW players. What they did do, though, was invite a bunch of people who have dealt with housing in other games. They had some very Final Fantasy 14 focused people. Everybody was there for a specific reason. If you don't know, because you only followed me for WoW stuff, I have held the largest Final Fantasy 14 housing events in the game over the last couple of years. So that's why I was there, to talk about the kind of events and things we can do. Everybody else had their own purpose. And we sat down and we talked with individual devs, the whole team who's working out of their Boston office, who's been working on housing. We had like a UI dedicated person there who wanted negative feedback. They were very open of like, we get the praise. We want to hear where the problems are, where we can improve it, what things you've dealt with in other games, all that kind of thing. This is the focus. WoW is going very classic here in terms of Blizzard. They have looked at everything, and they're not shy about it either. They have looked at Valheim, Stardew Valley, they've looked at Final Fantasy 14, they've looked at WildStar, they've looked at Path of Exile, they've looked at all these games.
This is what I meant, by the way, when after the Shadowlands downfall, the new community manager and everyone kind of changed. And Blizzard's been taking criticism pretty well compared to before. Before, they were like, nah, we know better than the players and whatnot. And I've been trying to tell my viewers or the WoW community about this, and they don't believe it. But yeah, they've been doing a lot better. I like the part where he's saying that they want all the bad criticisms too, right? So they can make the best version. I think that's great.
And they found what they like about it, and then they've made it better. I'm just going to say it. They've made it better. And that's where Blizzard got its name from. They looked at what other games were doing. They like it. It's good. How do we take all that and then we make our own version, which is superior? And that is exactly what they've done. It's very classic 2004 to 2010 Blizzard, where they were
We're going to hop back onto retail WoW
stuff, and it didn't quite work out in some cases. So
housing for Classic Plus would be sick. I'm surprised a lot of Classic people are wanting Classic housing, because usually you guys are like hashtag no changes and you guys don't want anything new, but that's surprising. I mean, we'll see. That could be cool. I'm not against that either.
That said, I'm just going to quick fire through some stuff for you to get your answers out there, all right? I'm doing this in a nice numbered list for you guys. Number one, these houses are like the TARDIS. For non-Doctor Who fans, that means that the outside of the house, which is something you can decorate, does not equate to what is inside of the house. If you want a one-room entryway with a sprawling vast church on the second floor, and then you want your third floor to turn into a 5-story tower jumping puzzle, you can do that. You could do whatever the hell you want with the shape, the room.
Wow, that is very, very... How do I say it? It looks fruitful. A lot of stuff going on. A lot of details. A lot of customizations. In the Wowhead one, I saw them being able to like tilt any objects any way you want as well. So I feel like a lot of people are going to use combinations of things to make crazy fun stuff and jump puzzles. There was like an arcane themed one I saw. Maybe comics could show a picture on here. It was like a floating table with all these other objects floating with arcane theme like Dalaran, right? It looked cool.
Rooms, it doesn't matter. You want to build a giant room? Go ahead and do that. They come in like these preset things, and you can just attach them to the side.
I thought this was what Garrison was going to be in WoD.
What do you want this to be? Do you want this to be a clock tower? Do you want it to be a double high, massive empty box? Do you want it to be a
WoD's
giant,
finally getting what they deserve.
octagon space? Go ahead. Just clap it on. It doesn't matter what's beneath it in any way so far. The limitation is really, are the rooms accessible? You can't just make a floating room off in the middle of nowhere that no one can get to. That you can't do. But do you want to make a giant mega jumping puzzle? Sure. Do you want to make a giant maze? Sure. Do you want to make hidden rooms with secret doorways and passages? Yep. You could totally do that.
Yeah, this is so much better than what I expected. Just exceeded.
Focus is freedom. Number 2. Do you want random blocks and things just floating in midair? Do you want a 200% scaled
this is what I was talking
that
about.
Shoots through the ceiling and looks like it's stabbing you in the face? Yep, go ahead and do that. While we were talking to Jay Huang, who's been the art and prop guy for Blizzard for like over 15 years. He was literally doing demonstrations for us, and he was like, I designed that table in like Mists of Pandaria that's here now. He was saying that they did a ton of research. In particular, Valheim came up again, and they have a gravity system. And it became very apparent, is like, why are we bothering with gravity? Let's just not do that. It's not fun. Players always
looking good, by the way. He's in shape.
Find ways and means of trying
Hair's
to glitch
looking
things
great.
to get them in the right place. So let's just do away with that and have them put things wherever they want. If
He's taking care of himself.
Just wants
I like
random
that.
stuff because they're creating a magical Karazhan-themed place, let them do it. It's fine. It doesn't matter whatsoever. Just let them go and do it. If you want to just... the limitation on this, you want to push things through a wall? Go ahead.
Yeah, I know. I saw the journey
this?
video.
Do you want this to just be enormous and an inconvenience for you? Yeah, go ahead and do that. You can literally just put stuff in free-floating space wherever the hell you feel like it. Number 3, creativity is everything, okay? All the new items that are coming into WoW are designed with housing in mind, especially the dyeable ones, okay? Because if you haven't seen already, you can dye and change the color of some of the items. Not all, it's the new ones. And that is going to be the focus going forward, which we had confirmed with new assets coming into WoW. So they've got 2 problems they're dealing with. One, a lot of the old items literally don't have like a bottom or a side.
Yo, this is so cool.
On some of them because they
role players, Moonguard and Argent Dawn on you, they're gonna be so happy about this.
Were never going to be seen by the player, so why would you bother putting a bottom into it, right? So some tankards and carpets and things like that just don't have an underneath. They were never going to be seen. So they are retroactively going back and adding stuff to that over time. And they pointed out that we get basically a push every other day of brand new items that are being added to the library that have been fixed by the art team. New items, though, are all being designed with this in mind. That means that there's a new layer every time there's a big patch coming for World of Warcraft forevermore. This isn't going away. That means that if the next patch, based on the cutscene, and I'm not spoiling anything here, the cutscene is ethereal themed, you're going to get not only a new zone, awesome, new raid, awesome, but you're also going to get a bunch of new housing stuff because the assets for the new zone or whatever, if you think about how dense the Undermine is, are going to be joining the housing system as well, right? So you're going to get that new layer forevermore as long as...
Nick, what's up, man?
If this works, which it should.
Dude, I mean, just a long video. I'm sure he's going to cover it. I'm very curious how they're going to do the purchasing of the house and the plots. In FF, you have to do auction, and it's like very frustrating to get a house, right? I'm wondering how the plots are gonna be and what place. Is it gonna be like the old thing where that portal in Stormwind you could go in and there's like a bunch of house there? Or I guess we'll see. We'll see. I hope he covers that.
There's just going to add, oh, cool, we're getting a new Murloc-themed or Troll-themed place. That also means we're getting a whole bunch of new housing things to come along with it, right? So that then means the next issue. Number 4. How many items can you have? For those of you who've definitely played Final Fantasy XIV, you will have probably come up against the item cap in a house.
I'm giving you his sub lol.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. OG Wank. Thank you. I won't tell him. It's a secret between you and I.
Very regularly. You can have a very limited amount of items, which means if you make a very dense room, that's full of micro details and really tiny
FF
little
housing
things
is
to give
great
it that
too.
really nice depth and wonderful flavor you want to go for. The likelihood is you'll hit the item cap and you'll have to block off the rest of the house because that will have to be empty. You literally cannot put more items into the house. That is not going to be a thing from what we can see in World of Warcraft at all. The item cap we got in the build we played with, which is not like a release candidate or anything,
Blizzard
was 10,000 items.
Yo, FF has to step it up now. Before it was like FF was here and WoW needed to step up, but WoW's back, dude. Make Azeroth's great again, baby. WoW's back. FF needs to also get rid of the what is that wardrobe? Like you can only keep a certain amount of transmog. I hate that limitation. And I hate how we have to like keep every item. It's such an old system, I feel like.
The most dense buildings and rooms and houses they have created
Glams.
internally, which involves, if all the marketing you've seen for housing is one house that Jay built. It's one house. All the shots you've seen of different themes, restaurants, all that kind of stuff is just one house. They have not gone past 2,000 items.
Yeah, in retail you can just sell everything.
You can be immense.
And it just saves in your game.
Absolutely immense. This should not really be a thing. Now, having said that, there is a caveat to it. Everything we were able to build in our build meant that one item took up one slot of the 10,000, right? That's not probably going to be the case in the live version because not everything is made equal. If you want to put a 200-foot rotating giant windmill in your building, which you can do right now, we did that, that will maybe take 5 slots, right? Whereas an undermined goblin pointing arrow that you attach to a wall will be 1. So they will vary that a little bit, but generally speaking, items will not be a limitation in doing this.
I feel like this is such a good thing, but people are gonna abuse it. What is that one game? I saw a clip where they're like, yeah, come sit down. And then the guy sits down and they put like a little object so he can't get out. And then he opens the window and there's like 10 million bombs in there. And it blows up and crashes the guy's computer. I feel like some people are just gonna put so much item in their house and then they're gonna invite them over and just crash people's computers. I feel like it's gonna get abused and they're gonna put a cap on it because of that. Yeah, Rust. Comic, show the Rust clip. You know what I'm talking about? I could totally see that happening. Totally see that happening.
How hard is it to use? It is stupidly easy to use. Like, to the point where the easy mode we didn't use because we defaulted to the advanced mode more than anything because we were rubbish with using the easy mode, which they came around and were like, everything you're trying to do right now in advanced mode, you could do very easily in the easy mode because you have snap mode.
Wow, that's so smooth to
where
move
it will just
these.
like clip to things, and if you say put segments of a floor together to make a fountain area, it will go, oh, you're making a
does he
circle.
cover that mess?
We'll just
That's
clip
perfect
it together,
then.
or you can detach it or whatever, so you can move the whole thing. If you put several things together, you then have freeform mode, so you can just rotate it using the mouse wheel or whatever. You can do whatever you want to do, and then you have the advanced mode where you can change the shape, size of it, and individual rotations, and spin it, and do all kinds of things. You can actually do that with the easy mode. It's just that we were rubbish with that, and we just defaulted to the advanced mode, which was still really easy to use. That is totally fine. It's very, very simple to use. They've done a great job here. I was actually really surprised. There are some limitations based on the feedback we gave, which is going to be added to the game. Like, I want to make sure you understand that everything I'm talking to you about now has been directly fed back to them, and they're fully aware of it. So, such things as a quick bar. If you're building, like Draknos built this very intense maze to get lost in, you're probably going to be using one piece of wall many, many times. So a hot bar to put that on so I can just click that hotbar and keep going, because you can keybind everything that you're doing here, which is great. I rebound all my keys to housing very quickly, and it worked out super well. You probably want that on a hotbar and a favorites list. That's all coming into the game. One thing that is missing right now that they're working on is a history mode. I'll talk more about that later.
Sounds great so far.
But generally speaking, cloning is more difficult. So if you make... let's say you make a very custom thing. So one example, I made this view through a window, which is a very common thing to do in housing. where I took a piece of wall, I then like scaled it to a certain way to get a piece of the wall, and then I buried that wall into the floor so that I could create this window outlet that was the right size for my character. All that kind of stuff took very specific
so creative
measurements.
how people came up with these in
I can't clone
FF.
that piece to say I want the window to be twice as wide. So I want to clone that and do it again. That's a limitation they're working on. And a history mode to go back through various changes that you made. They want to check into that. There's a technical issue that they're trying to resolve for that. But at the same time, it's not a mega inconvenience because all the information is given to you very easily. All the degrees are listed numerically, so you can just easily copy them, as well as the scaling numbers. So it's a minor inconvenience, nice to have for those kinds of things that you want to have. Number 6 then, performance. You're probably worried about performance, right? Fine. Like, actually really, really fine. You've got to think about it. This is actually not going... It's no different than a building in WoW without the rest of the outside world loaded either. There's a lot of things in there. I will say, I'm not going to mention any names. Some people did try to crash it by filling the 10,000 slots and didn't manage it. They tried. They tried to lag it by making the most ridiculous things you could possibly imagine. Let's put it this way. If your game runs okay in the open world, you're going to be absolutely fine. And if you want to try, I have no doubt somebody will be able to lag this game out. Of course they will. Or create some sort of glitchy issue within this. But it's going to be an uphill battle that you're going to be trying to force to happen, right? That's going to be the thing that's going to happen there. Okay, those are the general things outside of what you've seen in announcements. Obviously, I'm looking at this with you have some preface knowledge. So at the beginning of my day, within the first hour when the devs were hanging out with us, I was like, "You've opened this." The word of the thing I said was, "This is Pandora's box," and that then became like the word of the day. It's Pandora's box. There's already way more creativity and freedom than I expected from the first version of housing. And the problem you have now, which I think we all ran into, is you start having really grand ideas about things that you want that aren't there yet. Like ridiculous things. Because you have this whole massive template in front of you and you want to fulfill more insanity. You just want more and more things to do with it. Like, I want mega spotlights to create crazy shadows and things. And they're like, yep, that's coming. We're totally working on that. And now I want, like, tailored music. Can I get music to, like, be in this zone?
Redov is probably so happy because he's one of the biggest RPers in WoW. Because
I can predict this, like, horror themed place where I want somebody to see something in a corridor and then the music shifts. And they're like, yep, we're working on that. All those kind of things. But that's their issue they're going to run into. So I'm going to move into limitations and things now. Again, to reiterate, everything I'm about to tell you, we have already fed back to the devs, and they're aware of it, and they're looking at it. And be under no illusion, everything I'm talking about right now is one of like infinite avenues that Blizzard now has to explore over the next 10 years.
God, is that a jail? This guy's saying silence.
So number 1, import export. All right. Let's face facts. Most of us, especially me, are not creative geniuses when it comes to housing. And actually just creating... I don't have the patience to do the minute detail. But there are those people out there, and this opens a whole new avenue for super users and truly amazing creative people to build wonderful, wonderful things. Now, here's the issue you run into, and this occurs if you're not aware of or you've not played a game with housing before. This is actually a genuine thing. Is you're opening the possibility of account sharing because you want those people to come and do your house. Hell, we do this not with account sharing. Is we commission people. And they build things in properties they have access to for us.
Thank you for
that
3 months in a row.
First, if we're doing an FF14 Race to World first, or for our parties and themed parties that we want to do, we have commissioned artists who go out and create these properties for us. And they're phenomenal, right? These builders are absolutely phenomenal. Similar to what we have already in WoW with loadouts and talents and things, import-export is a massive deal for me. One, you want to curb any possibility of account sharing whatsoever. Or you want to be able to give moderation rights to another player to say, like, you are the server's... S-Fand actually had a really good point here. It's like, when in Classic, somebody gets the recipe of, say, Lionheart Helm, that's the Lionheart Helm guy. And you want to speak to that guy and get them involved. That is going to happen with housing with these very creative people and gives a whole new lease on life for the game. Is you want them to either be able to come in and work on your property, right? Or you want creators... new fresh YouTubers and streamers and things who build these magnificent things and are then able to upload it and share it so that you're curbing that. And also people can have wonderful, glorious houses that they just not are creatively inclined or have the patience all the time to invest in and to share in what those guys create. So that would be a huge plus. If you've ever played Path of Exile, you'll know this is a huge thing. People create these wonderful and also, you know, outlandish housing arts to do things with. 2, longevity. This is a big concern of mine. Dead neighborhoods are a very real thing, especially in FF14. Everybody wants a house. Everybody can get a house, and wow, it's far easier than ever to get a house. Everybody has access to one. And then the internals of the house are completely untouched. They have the house, they have their plots, and then they don't do anything with it. An enormous percentage of houses are just bare empty inside. Now, this is where the neighborhoods are going to come in, because you'll know how it feels, right? You will be very excited week 1 to come into it, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to leave it alone now, right? You don't want that to happen. So neighborhoods are something they weren't able to publicly, I'm dancing around it here, tell us much about. It's what I'll say. Because they're not ready to give detail on that. However, we were with the neighborhood lead, Toby, who was, I'll say this for the public viewing, nudge us in the direction that they're going with this. So they were very clear. We do not want housing to be something that's like bolted onto the game, and that's a separate feature of the game. So you have World of Warcraft, and then you have WoW housing. It's kind of got this distinct line between it. And that's where neighborhoods will come in. They're giving you like low 50s, so they weren't specific. It's like 50 to 55, depending, housing slots, which should be more than large enough for a good active guild. Obviously, if you're in a crazy cesspool guild with like hundreds and hundreds of just nameless people in there, that's not quite big enough.
I don't know,
multiple neighborhoods. But for, you know, the vast majority of active interactive guilds, that will be fine. But they're going to be holding events there. Seasonal events and things like that will be happening. Outside construction will be going on. And hopefully the activity to create events will be a big deal in order to incentivize you actually going back there. So this isn't, say, Siren Isle. I go, I get my ring, and I just leave, and I never go back there again unless I want some pets or something like that. That's not what they're going for here, because that is a real issue in other games where housing is a separate game. 14 would be an example of that. And if you're not into it, you just never see it again. I have a house because I got the achievement. You have a house, right? Number 3. So return. Number 3 then would be return visits. Coming back to this, if you go and try and do what you can, they're going to have a progression system, right? So let's say week 1. This is another big concern of mine that I made them aware of, and they're working to make sure this doesn't happen, is that they will have some sort of progression system, right? I got to play, as the rest of us did, with basically a fully unlocked housing system. However, if this system comes in, and week 1 I am that super hype guy, and I've got all these ideas, I go to my house, and I obviously, depending on what your past history with the game is, it's going to unlock a bunch of stuff for you immediately. If you've got achievements and things, it'll go, oh, you already did this, so it's just unlocked for you. But you will have limitations. So you want to build this crazy jumping puzzle that's going to be like 6 stories high. It's going to have a connecting bridge across the middle that connects to something else. And you've got this huge idea. However, you go week 1 and you're kind of limited to floor 2 and maybe like 4 rooms. And you're like, oh, okay. And it's not until you get to like progression track 5 to get more things. But by the time you hit that, you kind of lost interest. That excitement has dwindled away. And you just can't be bothered, right?
6 months.
It's kind of just fallen into, oh, okay, well, I've unlocked it. I'll go and check that weekend maybe, or anything like that. That is a real problem that I don't want them to run into. People should be able to do some pretty amazing things day 1. I think that's a vital part of this. They're aware of it. They're going to do stuff to incentivize you there. I want to be clear on this, though. If you don't want to engage with housing, they were very clear on this, then you don't have to, right? They want to incentivize you going back and investigating your neighborhoods and going seeing it, so it's not unfamiliar. It's not a forgotten part of the game. This is evergreen. This is something that's going to be here forevermore. But if you were like, I hate housing, sure, that's fine. That's your prerogative. Then you won't have to deal with it in any way. So they're not going to tie it to anything.
I feel like most people are going to be like, I just want to play arena and raids, right? when I heard about FF housing, I was like, I'm never gonna do housing stuff, right? Because I just want to do the MSQ, do all the ultimates. Oh my goodness, what is that when you're banned at? Anyways, sorry, there was some big giant something in the chat, of course. What is this? Latinas. Yo, I'm showing the thing on the screen, man. Why is it showing? I banned it. Oh my god, I'm gonna get banned. Dude, I banned it. I thought it would. Oh wait, Sainix banned it. Anyways, I thought it would have shown, but why does it show still? Why is it still there? Anyways, going back to what I was saying, that was quite the segue. I didn't want to do housing whatsoever. My FC, is it FC? I forgot all the terms in FF. They gave me a room and I was supposed to decorate it. I didn't want to do it and I just played the game. Eventually, I started visiting my friends' places because they were like telling me to come over and chill. And we were looking at other people's houses. I was like, damn, this looks pretty damn cool. And I started setting up my own house and I thought I would never get into housing. Yet I was wrong. It's very fun making your own place. And with all the achievements and items you get from, like, let's say Lost Ark, if you defeat a certain boss, you could like get their head and hang it on the wall, right? I'm sure WoW will have that too. I think a lot of people will eventually like do housing stuff. It's fun. It's cool, man. It's very, very cool. So yeah, for the people that aren't gonna try it, they're probably gonna try it once. Might not be for everyone, right?
Utility. Oh my god. There were a couple of, I'm not mentioning names, but a couple of young creators there who were not there during the Garrison days. I was really lucky in the, I don't know if they're releasing any of the pictures because they took a lot of us during these round.
Oh my god, yeah, Garrison was such a disappointment.
Bunch of chairs in a circle where we were all shooting back and forth. I was sat next to Paul Cubitt. That name might not mean anything to you, but it should. Paul's been there forever. I interviewed him back when I went to visit the campus. This guy is a creative genius, responsible for a lot of cool things in World of Warcraft. And some of the younger creators who were there were like, what about utility? What can we have, like, an auction house? Come here. And I was like, oh no. It's happening again. No. I turned to Paul and I went, the sins of the father. And he looked at me and he went, and they it was nice to see the devs were like, look, we're not saying no, and I will give massive shouts here to Zeppler, a big FF14 creator,
Okay.
who was very clear on a good suggestion that the devs were like, that's a really good idea. So the idea of mining and herbing came up because wouldn't it make sense that the neighborhood has like a garden that can get the herbs and things like that? And I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. It's happening all over again. But then we had good suggestions like, well, what if there is gardens and things, but the things you're growing there are actually to unlock housing things? That makes total sense. That is totally fine, because what we can do here is add in profession items where there are specialists who can build very specific items, and that uses like the neighborhood system and all that kind of stuff to create those things, which other people might not engage with, and then be able to commission, you know, things to go in the auction house and things like that in the cities. They may have, they didn't say no to everything. Like, it does make sense that there's some sort of mailbox or something like that available in the neighborhoods. That fits, but they're very wary of adding utility in any form to this that actually is like progression utility to the outside game. Because if you weren't there during,
I cannot wait to see everyone's houses. This is exciting.
Garrisons had utility and function in them. They had a mine. They had a herb garden. It meant there was no reason to go out into the world at all, because you could daily collect everything you would ever need for your flasks, potions, your self-fulfilling prophecy. And when you had alts, you could cover every profession in the game without ever leaving your base. And it was instant stuff. It just killed the world.
Yeah, like, we'll do some housing competitions, guys.
Next one is acceptance of this. This is going to be an interesting journey for WoW players. Roleplay in particular. Again, this is why Pandora's box kept coming up. Roleplay has been looked down upon by a lot of WoW players, despite the fact that roleplay servers are a huge thing. And roleplay has existed forever in World of Warcraft, right? And I know from my experience where housing is already a thing, is this opens the doors to infinite possibilities.
This is all dudes, by the way. Yeah, they're all men, guys. Every single one of them.
of what's going to be happening within the game that they need to be
Every
aware
single
of. Some of it was a bit extreme. They were like, really? I'm like, yeah, like traveling casinos, right? Gambling is a big no-no in World of Warcraft.
Don't get
but you're
baited,
going
guys.
to have traveling casinos.
There's no
because
girls.
players figured
All
out
right.
a long, long time ago how to have active gambling within the game, especially with trustworthy organizations, which are now going to be a thing in World
These
of
are
Warcraft. You're
cool.
going to know the proper
little menu
Gallywix
sheets.
Casino Discord. And these guys will turn up and they will provide bars and they will provide various different gambling games that can be played without any of the utility of the game itself between players. They can play blackjack together and all this kind of stuff with slash roll, and all these kind of things have been done before.
Oh yeah, Moonguard has.
You're going to have that. You're going to have strip clubs, right? You think Goldshire is bad, and some people go,
Why is
strip
someone
clubs.
showing me?
Like, dude, this is already in the game in a long way. Check out Drama Time on a Friday. This already exists in a huge way, and now you're going to have organized ones, like genuinely organized ones with proper parties and things going on. That is absolutely going to happen. But on the less degenerate side, you're going to have things like the DJ population, which you guys probably don't even know about. There is a huge amount of live venue DJs that are extraordinary, right? I think of names like Miu Fei, DJ Cyborg, all these people who have regularly DJ'd parties in FF and spin off like remixes of the soundtracks and things like that to the game in a wonderful, wonderful way and help host parties. These are now going to be an active thing in World of Warcraft because they'll have venues to go to and people will be able to attend. This is something I'm super excited for because I was skeptical, like many of you are, as to how this actually plays out because you always think it's cringe and people just ERPing all over the place. But like that's not the case at all. And I know you don't believe me, but when you visit these things, and I encourage you to do, you'll be like, oh, that's not what this is. This is actually something really different and a lot of people having fun. And more importantly, player-made events. This is the evergreen content that you want in your MMO.
Adriana,
This opens the door for the social elements that World of Warcraft specifically has lacked for a really long time.
Yeah,
phasing
this is huge for a while.
innocuous names and people
So
being
big.
changed from their name to rogue or mage or whatever. The resistance is going to be there for this, but ultimately, if it's handled well and it's encouraged and Blizzard supports these kinds of events and publicizes major ones.
I don't think WoW players are gonna think it's cringe. I think they're gonna like it a lot. Like I'm a long-time WoW player. I think this is awesome. I think it's something everyone's been wanting, and like Preach said, there's a lot of RPers, and I feel like they've been getting neglected. This is probably gonna make it a lot more fruitful for them content-wise as well. There's gonna be more events and things to do. Because every year, I think they have something in the Ice Crown Citadel. What is that place? The tournament? They do some crazy stuff there. In Moonguard, far as I know. They have like a dual tournament and venues and whatnot. Tournament of Ages? Yeah, that's what it's called. They do some fun stuff there. And I went there one time with a friend. It looked crazy cool. There's like people standing with their guilds and their banners and they're like giving out free stuff. I think this will just make it where the players could be a bit more creative and have way more fun. This is cool. Like, we wanted this in WoD, right? Yet it wasn't anything like what we imagined. And Adrian, thank you for the gift of stuff to Matt. I appreciate it. Huge.
Then this is going to be an immense addition to the game. There's so much more that I want to talk about with you guys, but I want to keep it as short as possible. So we'll have the full interview over on our second channel, like I mentioned earlier. But the idea of IP crossover for different themes, right? Can we get StarCraft themed stuff? What if I kill Lilith on hardcore in D4? Can I then have a Lilith trophy? I will say, like NPCs working in the houses, right? This is a big thing that I can play dress up with. People love doing that kind of stuff. My warband alts hanging out. They already have shown your pets and stuff will be available. All these kind of things. And the message is clear from me. If this is version 1 that I got to test of the housing, they've way exceeded expectations by a long, long way. It was really nice that they stopped a lot of the feedback to say, this is great, all the positive. We want the negative. Where are you running into issues? And we gave a lot, especially on like UI interactions, search criteria, all this kind of stuff. We really looked at everything. Basically, if you can think of it, they've thought about it and are working on it. But they're working on Pandora's box. Every single person who plays with housing is going to want something else. And that's going to be coming. It's going to take time. This is years and years of work. But for a starting point, How they kept this a secret for as I now know how long they've been working on this. How in the hell they kept this secret, I don't know. But it's pretty exciting. It's really cool. So there you go. Any other questions, you can find me on Twitch.
There was a video
because by the time
that
you see this, the embargo's lifted. Hey!
said how long they were working on it. That was a fantastic video. Thank you. And then I'll link it to you guys as well. Here you guys go. Boom. That was awesome. Great news. Great stuff. Can't wait to see it happen. Cannot wait.